So it's really late out, and I'm standing outside of a hotel in Paris, France. And the New York Jets just dropped the biggest game of the season, 10-3, to the division rival New England Patriots in walk-off fashion. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Allowing a punt return with under a minute left. This Jets team, scratch that. This Jets offense completely wasted an elite defensive performance. Carl Lawson, Sauce Gardner, CJ Mosley, Michael Carter. This defensive, it was the definition of bend but don't break. Sacking Mac Jones left and right. Constantly making Nick Folk's life harder in field goals. The Patriots did not play a perfect game, right? We all know this. They had a couple missed field goals. They had a couple dropped interceptions. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But I mean, watching that Jets offense was like getting your teeth pulled out. It was abhorrent. I'm not one to, I'm not saying this to be funny. I'm not saying this to be like hot takey. That's not me at all. But I'm not lying when I say this. What I saw from Zach Wilson today has got to be one of the worst quarterback performances I have ever seen. When we take a look and when we just dissect it from start to finish and understanding the context of the game, if the Jets won today, they would have been in first place. So not tied, they would have been in first place in the AFC East, with tie-breaking wins over, of course, the New England Patriots, Miami Dolphins, and Buffalo Bills. Dolphins are on a bye week. Buffalo, I haven't checked the score, but last time I checked, they were up pretty sizably to the Cleveland Browns. I assume the Bills are going to win. But now that's not the case. Now the Jets are in fourth. Is it the end of the world? No, it is not. But going back to Zach Wilson, it was atrocious. It was so bad. I cannot believe the performance today after everything we heard in the 2 weeks leading up to the game. Keep in mind, right, not only is this just the biggest game of the season for the New York Jets, but we had 2 weeks to prepare. Granted, New England had 2 weeks too. But this was a defense that Zach Wilson already played against pretty recently. This was a defense that Mike LaFleur coached against pretty recently. We heard all week that Zach Wilson was dialed in. He was laser focused. The offense was ready to go. Expect some wrinkles, stuff that we haven't seen before. Get ready. The Jets are ready. This is going to be not necessarily a quote-unquote revenge game, but it's going to, like, the Jets have this circled on their calendar. 10-3. I can't believe it, man. I really cannot believe. It wasn't just, of course Zach Wilson was horrible. Not completing passes, mechanically totally off. Mentally totally off as well. He showed in this game that if you get under his skin, if you could get like Belichick did a good job of rattling Zach Wilson. And the second Zach started doubting himself, the one missed throw that he had early on in the game, the dropped interception of McCourty. Well, granted, there was tons of bad throws, bad decisions throughout the course of the game, but early on in the game, Belichick got in his head, that defense got into his head, and it just seemed like his confidence was completely wiped. I mean, he was missing wide open. He was looking at wide open targets. With Zach Wilson's arm strength, with Zach Wilson's quick release, he needs to be fitting the balls in there. He needs to be making quick decisions with the football. But his confidence was shot, especially in the second half. Confidence was shot. There was one play specifically where it was a screen pass. It ended up being a screen pass to Braxton Berrios, top of the screen. Pass went right over Berrios' head. If you watch that play, Zach Wilson literally looks, I believe it's, I think it was Tyler Conklin, wide open over the middle of the field, right? By NFL standards, wide open. With, again, his arm, his release, he could have easily punched that in, but he second-guessed himself. He didn't do it. So he turns to Berrios and he flips it almost like off his back foot. Just the mechanics were just so poor, and the ball goes right over his head. He doesn't say, my bad. He doesn't say... He doesn't flip it, take his, he doesn't flip his helmet off or anything. He just looks to the sidelines, like confused and almost like with like this, this confused look on his face, like, it's like, what is going on? What is going on? They had 2 weeks to prepare for the biggest game of the season, and that is what the offense looked like. I mean, we just saw a putrid offensive performance against that Belichick defense a couple weeks ago. Quickly, though, I do want to say, I want to give Belichick, I want to give this Pats defense all the credit in the world. I love their players. They chose a lot of guys out of this past class that I really, really liked, especially in the mid to late rounds. You look at that scheme, it's one of my favorites in all of football. Matt Judon is an absolute beast. I would say he's probably the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. Absolute terror. He's so hard to cover. He can do so many different things. Dropping coverage, get after the passer, stop the run, sideline to sideline. Does so much for that defense. So it's not like we were going up against a bad defense or anything like that. No, we were going up against a good football team with a lot on the line for New England. So I want to give the Patriots, I want to give that coaching staff, I want to give their players all the credit. They deserve it. But man, when I watched that Jets offense, it was so poor on just so many levels, and that's what's just so disappointing. I mean, imagine, put yourself in Ulbricht's shoes. Put yourself in Saleh's shoes. Walk into the defensive room, Sauce, Reed, Mosley, a veteran, Quinn Williams, career high in sacks, by the way. Look those guys in the eye and say, like what more can we do? What do you even say at that point? You guys literally played perfect. They didn't even allow the touchdown. It was on special teams. Wasted an elite defensive performance in the biggest game of the season because there was zero quarterback efficiency. And it's frustrating. It's disappointing. Again, congratulations to the Pats. They won the game. They deserve to win the game. Mac Jones was extremely efficient. In fact, I actually wanted to see the Jets play the way the Pats did offensively. I know it wasn't super flashy. I know it wasn't super exciting or anything like that. A lot of short passes, little dump offs. But that's what I felt like Zach Wilson needed. But again, going back to the bye week here, guys, like, there were moments in the game where guys, like, they couldn't even line up right. At one point later in the, I believe it was early on in the fourth quarter, they had to waste a timeout because they couldn't get set. And then on the very next play, they call a rollout to Ty Johnson, a deep pass to Ty Johnson. Some of the play calls were maddening in this game. They were. I cannot believe, just after all the hype, again, over these past 2 weeks, I cannot believe how poor this offense looked. Makes me sick. It makes me sick. It's not like the Jets are rolling out the same roster that they had in 2018 and 2019. There is talented players on this football team. It comes down to execution. It comes down to preparation throughout the week, not shooting yourself in the foot, not making mistakes. I mean, you look at New England, they dominated the Jets in so many different categories: total plays, total yards, time of possessions, better on I believe they were better on third downs. I mean, it was just hard to watch. It was just hard to watch. So I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Jets.